Hello again. Welcome to a training video on the security system in PayPak Professional 4.0 and other GreyNote software products. This video is a general overview of the security system. There are other related videos which explain specific security features in greater detail, and I recommend that you invest a few minutes to take a look at them and master your knowledge of the security system. Security begins with the login screen. This is where anyone who wants to access the program, access the database and the records and print reports or whatever, will log in to the system using a user ID and a password. There are some other options on this screen for which we have a training video which goes into those features in greater detail. For the purpose of the overview, we are just going to log in by entering our user ID and password. This brings us to the main menu. Now, the bulk of the security features can be accessed from the main menu under the admin option, and this is the security option here. Only administrators are allowed into the security section of the software. Supervisors and regular users cannot access the security section, only administrators. Now, there is one option, however, which is not inside of the security section here, and that's found under settings, where anyone who logs into the system can change their password here. So settings, change password. Click on the button here. You've got your old password. You type in the old password, type in the new password, verify the new password, then click on the change button to update your password. And next time you log in, you'll be using the new password. The passwords can also be changed by an administrator from within the security section. So we come here to admin, and let's go into the main security screen and explain how that works. At the top of the screen, you have the server to which you're currently connected. You have the database to which you're currently connected. You've got some buttons here. You've got logins, groups, users, reset table rights. This is an option. And there are screens for database access, menu access, report access, and email settings. There's also a button where you can see the same video that you're listening to right now and go through the features again anytime that you wish. Let's say YouTube video. Now, let's start with the logins. I'm just going to give a general overview of what these functions do and show you the screens. The logins is used to create basically a name and a password to connect you to the database. Then after the logins, you're going to have users and groups. Typically for each login, you will have one user. So it's a one-to-one relation between the logins and the users. What the groups are is you may have, let's say, 10 users, and of those 10 users, many of them do the same type of work in the software. They update the same records, they print the same reports, maybe they email, they may even share an email address which they use on the company's behalf for their particular department or section. And they can also have individual emails too. So in cases where you have the average normal user who's not part of a group, you have to set up database access for that user, menu access, report access, and email settings, which is these 4 sections here. Now, if you have 8 employees who are performing exactly the same functions, you can create a group for those 8 employees, and when it comes time to assign or update database access rights, menu access, report access, or email settings, you assign the settings to the group and that in turn automatically assigns it to the members of the group, the users who are members of that particular group. That way, it's a much more efficient way of managing the system, because then you do not have to set it up 8 times set up the same thing 8 times for the 8 users. You can have as many groups as you want, but each user can only belong to one group. Some of our customers will use groups and some of them will just have the users. It all depends on your particular circumstances and what you find most convenient and helpful to you. The reset table rights. If I click on that, it's a prompt. It's not a screen, it's just a prompt. And you can say yes or no to this, and what this will do, if you say yes, it will reset the table rights for the users, the groups and users that you've created. This must be done the very first time that you set up logins, groups, or users, or even sometimes after you add new ones, so that they can log into the system. If you don't run it, they will not be able to log in. Let's go to the login screen. Now there's a video for these 4 together, as I said. So let's open the screens and have a look at them. The login screen, you've got the name of the server and the name of the database. There is a total at the top, which indicates the number of logins in the system. There are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Of those 4, one of them is an administrator, which is marked by this checkbox here. There are no supervisors, and we have 3 regular users, because that's these 3 here, 1, 2, and 3. You can add or change. You can add new logins or change a selected login in this area here. Put in a name or change a name, make the person an administrator or a supervisor. You can change the passwords from here. So this screen updates your logins, and it has a separate video which goes into the features in greater detail. I just want to point out again that the login is a name and password which allows you to access the server and then in turn the database, because a server can have 1 or more databases, which you can. Some customers will have a weekly payroll and a monthly payroll, and they will have logins for weekly paid employees and logins for the monthly paid employees with those separate databases. Okay, that's the end of the review of the login screen. The next one is the groups, and here's your groups. Again, you've got the server name at the top, the database name at the bottom. You can create groups in here. You can add new groups. You can add users to the group, so it has members and non-members. If the users are set up already, you would see them in this list. When you first come in, they'll be listed as non-members. You can add them to an existing group. You can delete a group if a group is displayed. And as with the login screen, there is a training video dedicated to this screen which explains in greater detail how everything here works. The user screen is similar to the login screen, and it has a count up here, number of administrators. There's only one person who's a user, one login, which is assigned as a user, which is the SA login here. There are the 4 logins here, but only one is a user, because you look at this column, you'll see user ID. Where it's blank, there's no user assigned or linked to that login. This has 1, and that's for the administrator. At the bottom of that grid, there are the controls where you can add or change, well, I should really say assign a user ID. You put in the user ID and the name, and you can save it. You can delete an existing user. And as with the other screens, it has its own training video which explains all this in greater detail. I will also mention that in order to access the database, to access the menu, to access the reports, and to generate emails, you must have a user ID set up from this screen. Now let's that's for regular users actually. Now let's close this and move on to the next option. This is the reset table rights. As I said, if you click here, you get this prompt. That is all explained in the video for logins, groups, and users. Now, the database access screen, that's the next, and basically this lists the groups and users here, if there were any. There's a list of tables in the database, and you have some options in these columns to allow you to select rights to the particular database, insert rights, update rights, and delete rights. Select means you can view the records. Insert means you can add records. Update means you can change records, and delete means that you can delete records. The video for this screen goes into greater detail about how it works. So I'll go move on to the next screen. This is a very important screen, and as you will see in the video, this is not a screen for people who do not know what they're doing to be tampering with. Enough said on that. The menu access, similar to the database access, similar layout, but it has a list of the menu items, which is the items that you see on the menu, the header parts of the menu and the detail parts underneath it. They're all listed in here, with the exception of the settings, because settings are accessible to all users. They're not controlled through security, unlike the other parts of the menu. And this allows you to allow someone access to a section of the menu, or block them from the section of the menu. When it's blocked, they will not see it. And this can be a user or a group. Once again, there is a training video for this, and I highly recommend that you take a look at that to find out how this works in greater detail. Next is report access. Again, a similar layout. The difference being that this one, let's move this over a bit. This one has a list of reports, and you can control which reports your users can see. If you don't want someone to see a particular report or reports in a particular group, you can block them from that. You can block and allow as you wish, and assign access, grant or deny, or grant or restrict access to selected groups and users. And again, it has its own video, its own demo video. Next is the email settings, and this allows you to configure emails for email options or email accounts within the software for users and groups. Unless you configure them in here, the user will be unable to email documents from within the software. As with the others, it has its own training video, and there are quite a number of options in here. So please have a look at the video and familiarize yourself with the options available to you. That's about it for the for this video. This link will show you the same video on YouTube. So let's go over the security again, there is the settings option, which allows you to change your password. The main security options are here in the security section of the menu under admin and security. That's where you go. That brings up the security screen, which you see here. And as mentioned, there are other videos, other training videos, which will explain how these sections work in greater detail. So thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure as always to present these videos to you, and I look forward to the next video. Thank you and take care. Goodbye.